Family, friends, listeners, welcome again to the Cook and the Coach podcast. I'm Baeza. I'm the coach.
I'm Kenny. I'm the cook. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, everybody. Let's get right to the segments. Ken, what you got for cooking today?
So, for a cooking segment today, it's a bit of a show and tell. So, I love food photography. I've done it professionally before as like part of like a social media type job that I had. And over this quarantine, I have been trying to really get better at it, which is part of the reason I started the at Haymarket Catering on Instagram page, literally just to practice cooking and to practice food photography. So I wanted to give a quick show and tell of a lens, like basically the mobile photography setup that I have. So I use this app called Moment, and I also use some of their other tools. So basically, Moment, I can show you what the app. It's this little blue one right there with the circle. So that's what it looks like. Basically, it's like a higher end photography app. So you have a little bit more control, like you might have on like a DSLR camera. So you can affect more of the parameters with like the light coming in and such. That's kind of how I start. But the main thing, I use special lenses. This is the Moment. Oh, this is the Moment wide lens. It's an 18 millimeter lens right here, if you can see.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Is that you brought to Door County?
Yes. Yeah. So I love bringing it on to trips and regular shit. But this is the lens that I use most often for food photography. It comes with this little protective thing, and I also have this little carrying case that I have that is just more, sturdy that I use. So basically, it's just like a really high quality metal, and it's a high quality glass, and then you could attach it literally to this webcam. You can attach it to a phone, attach it to like pretty much a tablet, pretty much anything. So I'll show you quick just how I do it. So I open up the Moment lens, then I take this little clip. This clip is like what you can use to attach it to pretty much anything. Otherwise, they sell cases, which is great, but my phone is too old. My phone is an iPhone 6S, and it's kind of shitty. So basically, I put on the thing right here, and you just screw it on, and it squeaks a little bit like a mouse. And then once it's on, it kind of looks like that. And you just want to make sure, sorry, the light's a little rough, but you want to make sure you're not covering the lens itself. So once that's on, then take just the beautiful lens like so, and you basically just attach it like so. You just twist it on. And then from there, you can't really see from there, but essentially it just expands the view of it. It gives it this really nice view that I use for most of my food shots. And wide lenses are pretty common with food photography, just because you can get more of a table spread, and you have a little bit more parameters for like tabletops and just getting more detail in if you want to shoot like outside of a restaurant or things like that. I'll show this just since we're doing the show and tell. This is my other lens that I have for Moment. And this is not an ad, by the way, but I just love showing this shit off. So this is a telephoto lens.
Sponsor us, please do.
Please, that'd be so fun. And I actually have a little thing about Moment, which people can participate in as well. So this is the telephoto lens. So you can see it's more flat. You can already see by like the opening of the lens that it's a little bit wider, more like a telescope, and it's a little bit flatter. So this one is great more for when you're trying to get some dimension between the foreground and the background. So like if I was sitting here and I wanted the trees to be more blurry, a good way to do that would be to use something like a telephoto lens where you're putting the focus on one aspect, so the other side, you create a little bit of a layer. This is good for some food photography stuff. I don't use it as often because I like to switch between like photos and videos. And when you're shooting video with a telephoto lens, it's like you're like this, like your hands are just shaking constantly because you're zooming out. So basically, I think like if you have a string from your lens to where you're shooting, like if it's a shorter, like if it's a less telephoto lens, that string is shorter. So when you move, there's going to be less movement, right? But if you have like a telephoto lens, now you're shooting at something that might be in focus here. And now a little bit of movement here is going to have much more movement. It's like it gets shakier, it's harder. So I use this more for portraits when I'm shooting people. Like I shot that really sweet shot of you, Baez, in Door County with the lake behind you. That's what I use the telephoto one for that, because that you can get a little bit of distance between it. And it doesn't necessarily get blurrier, it just separates you a little bit. So
Sure.
yeah. So I bit of a show and tell, but I really love these. I've been using them for months, like pretty much all summer and a couple months in the spring too. Really cool. And so the part of the reason I wanted to bring this up in the first place is because so Moment does these I guess these monthly challenges. I think it's just like hashtag Moment Challenge. And this month, the month of August 2020, they're doing a food photography like hashtag Moment Challenge. So I actually don't think they're requiring you to use a Moment lens for the challenge, although I'm sure they encourage it. But basically, if you do food photography, you can do hashtag Moment Challenge, show off your skills, and then I think they have like some sort of prize. It's like I think $1,000 in gear. So I don't expect to win, but it's just for fun. I have been like doing that hashtag on some of the recent posts just to try it out. So yeah, if you want to participate in that, you can definitely do the hashtag Moment Challenge, and you'll also see some of my recent posts at Haymarket Catering on there. So yeah,
There you
sorry,
go.
Baze. I've been kind of just steamrolling here. I hope that's helpful for
No,
anyone
I
who's
love
trying to
it.
do food photography.
This
And
is good.
yeah, man, it's really fun. I am a big fan of their brand. It's awesome. But anyhow, that's what I
Dope.
got for today. What about you, Baze?
So, so my coaching segment will be a continuation of what I was talking about last week. As in regards to the bench press, and talking about building up your lats because that's half the movement, but people don't realize that when they're doing the bench press, they think it's all chest, right?
Mm,
And I think not only is it important just to build up your lats in general, but it's important, especially for dudes, because I know dudes mostly focus on their chest, their biceps, their abs, and then if they do legs, they'll only do quads.
right.
But you have this whole other posterior side to your body you have to focus on, all right? Your delts, your back, triceps, your posterior chain, hamstrings, all
Right.
that's super important.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you're going to look silly, first of all, if you only do this part in the back. But
Yeah.
also just for overall strength and wellness, you work everything, not just one part of the body. With that being said, I notice this in the gym. I go to other gyms and see people work out that when they bench press wrong. So a lot of people, they'll bring the bar down to their chest, and then their elbows will go like this, and they'll press up. That's not how you do it. That's how you tear. That's how you destroy all this, your shoulder, okay? So what you want to do when you bench press is pretend you're trying to bend the bar in half, okay? So bring the bar down to your chest, and see how my arms at 45-degree angle. They're not in here, they're not out to the side, 45 degrees, right? Bring it in here, then press it straight back up, 45.
Okay.
Does that make
And thinking,
sense?
yeah, and so you're thinking
That
of
was
like pressing it forward a little bit in the middle of the bar, pressing it up a little bit, just in
trying
terms
to
of
almost bend the bar in half, and now naturally
bend
keep
it.
your elbows in a nice 45-degree position. Okay,
Gotcha. Okay.
save a spot for your shoulders during that movement. All right, because if you go out here, now we're messing with some tricep. Now we're messing with some rotator cuff. It's not going to be pretty. Okay, messing with your
Mm,
AC joint.
gotcha.
So that's a very important key. If you want to get more technical, if you're more of a intermediate to advanced lifter, your bench press path isn't going to be straight up and down. If you're first time lifter, that's why I say my first time lifters because I want to just get the very basics down. But when you're actually doing, more intermediate progression of the bench press, it's gonna come. So pretend like I'm laying down the bench, right?
Sure.
I'm not actually, but pretend like I am, all right?
Yes.
Bars are coming down here, right, to my chest. Instead of going straight up, I'm gonna come up just a little bit, so the bar ends up right above my eyes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring it down here, like right my nipple line, right at my chest line. But
Yeah.
when I end, it's gonna be slightly up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So those are some more tips for bench press.
I love that.
My last tip for bench press. Again, this is more so for my intermediate and advanced lifters. But I mean, if you've been lifting for a long time and want some more tips, this could help you out too. Is arching your back. If you're watching powerlifters in the gym, if you watch my videos, a lot of people ask me all the time, why do you arch your back when you bench? Like, why is your body like that? It's because it's actually less distance for me to move the bar, so it makes it a bit left easier, right? That's number one. Number two, if you watch the really, really advanced powerlifters, like the ones at the national, international levels, they have a huge arch in their back, like huge, right?
Mm.
The reason for that is not only because it's less of a motion, because it's a stronger position to push.
Mm.
So there's 3 different variations of pressing, right? There's incline, which are like well, there's actually 4, right? There's straight up and down.
Yeah.
This is your weakest point, right? Going straight up and down. There's like an incline 45 degrees, a little bit stronger, but still fairly weak. Then there's laying flat down, which is, a fairly strong position.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the 4th, which a lot of people in the general population space may not be aware of, is a decline position. Where actually, if I was laying down at 45 degrees. So my head's down here, my feet are up actually above my head.
Love that one.
It's actually your strongest position. You could actually move a lot more weight in that position than you were in a flat bench, incline, or military position.
Really? I didn't know that was the strongest one. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The lower portion of your pec, which is what you're working when you're in that decline position, that's actually your strongest part of the muscle.
Interesting.
And it's the easiest part for your triceps to be engaged. So when you're on powerlifting meet and stuff, those advanced powerlifters, they try to arch their back so they get to that decline position naturally.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just something to think about, consider if you're interested in more so in moving a ton of weight than just lifting just to lift or whatever, or just to look good. If you're interested in actually like moving like a really, really heavy weight, something to think about and look into, in the future. I would recommend going to like a full big arch right away. It takes time to gradually get there. Obviously, my arch, my bench isn't that big, but to get to that point took me about a year or so to get to that point, to get to that somewhat decline position.
Gotcha.
So,
that was going to be my question. Like, would it be good for like a beginner bench presser to start doing with that arch, or start going with that arch, or should they start more just flat against the bench to start?
I mean, it'll take a while to get to. If you see mine's not that big of an arch.
Sure.
But even to get that small arch took me about a year to get used to and to maneuver and stuff.
Gotcha.
You might have to set down like some bands or like a rubber mat on the bench so you don't slide. That becomes a huge problem in bench press, right? It's sliding up and down because your scaps are either your shirt's wet or whatever, or the bench is too slippery.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put down 2 big bands on it just so I can stabilize and just stay one spot. So
that's awesome, dude.
We'll get to more tips about. I'll have a 3rd and final bench press segment next week. So yeah,
nice. That's exciting. Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we should probably explain why we're talking about Harry Potter at all. So basically, for anyone who's new to the podcast or just listening now, I haven't seen the Harry Potter movies. I haven't read the books until super recently. Like literally last night was the first time I ever watched the second Harry Potter movie. I don't really know almost anything about what happens in the story. And so me and Baez like to talk about like art that we enjoy, like movies or music, and talk about our reactions. So I was like, let's do that. Let's talk about let's watch me go through the whole arc of Harry Potter essentially, and just like talk through it. Like Baez being super familiar with it, and me being like fresh and new to it. So Baez, what do you remember about the second movie? Did you enjoy it when you watched it?
What's the title of the second one?
The title of the second one is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Came out in 2002. 18 years ago.
So weird to think about.
Right?
I do remember that one.
Yeah.
I think here's what I remember is like I knew like obviously when I watched them it was in like early college, so like they've already all came out and stuff.
Yeah.
But I still remember when I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, like this is just as good as the first one, and apparently they only get better. I'm like, this is gonna be a great ride, So I'm wondering if you thought was it better than the first one? Did you think it was the same? It was worse? What do you think about the second one?
I think that parts of it were better than the first one. I think other parts were a bit of a dip. But I don't know. I think I still have to think about it a little bit longer, but I almost think I like the first one a little bit more than the second one. But there were things I improved.
Okay.
That I think were improved. So So I'll say one of the main things is I feel like the second movie is sometimes, not always, but sometimes chaotic for no apparent reason. Like it's just way more energy, way more action. and
Mad hijinks.
mad
All the hijinks.
hijinks to the highest degree, to the nth degree,
All the hijinks.
all of them, none left out. And it was just a little bit jarring going from the first one where it was a bit more of a, I don't know, they just unraveled the situation a little bit more and was like, I guess that was their first introduction to the magic. So maybe I should have expected more magic just right out the gate. I probably should have, but I'm still new to the story. And I was just like, ooh, this is a little bit much really fast. So like literally, what was that? That small elf creature, what was his name? Dobby? Dobby. So like great example, like Dobby comes in and immediately starts like beating himself with furniture. Like as soon as he's introduced, he's already like like everywhere for like no apparent reason. It was just so much immediately. And then like you cut to like the car almost crashing into the train, and then like a solid minute of the car being in the tree and just being destroyed by the tree. Like I don't know, it was just a lot of craziness really fast. But maybe they're just trying to get me into the movie fast. But I don't know. Did you notice that when you watched it, like how much more action there was? Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong.
I think when I watched the first one for the first time, I was expecting more action. And then I watched the second one, I was like, oh, this is like what I wanted. So I didn't feel like, oh, this is like a lot. It's just like, oh yeah, this is what I was like expecting from the series, and now I'm actually getting it. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it was like a shock. It was like, oh, I expected this.
Yeah.
Before I started the series, and now the second movie is actually all happening with the suspense and the action and all that.
Right. Yeah, I do like that it was picking up the pace. I feel like they got to do it, but I was just a little jarred by it. Well, we can come back to that later. But I was gonna say, actually, we can talk about it now. So it made me laugh. So this is a funny. It makes me laugh, but it sounds sad. So I just keep that in mind. So basically, just random time, right? This one random time in college, it was like sophomore year, and I was like going to hang out with people I had been like floor mates with like freshman year. I hadn't seen them much, and one of my buddies, like his new girlfriend was there, and I come in. This is the first time I had met her, but I think I had like seen her on campus before. And she was like, everyone was drunk and I was walking in sober, and it was like a weird vibe. Just, like it's literally a feeling like you walk into like a cloud as soon as you like come in, like when other people are drunk and you're not, it's like you notice something different. So like I walk in and she's like, oh, you look like Dobby. It's like, what? and my friend was like, hey, that's mean. And I had never watched the movies, but then I Googled it and I was like, you asshole. And I have tiny ears. They're famously small.
No, you know why it's funny? Because I literally don't see it at all, but the fact that she was drunk and just said that is...
She just said it.
I envision right now, you're at a house party or Eau Claire, you're walking... I see the thing happening. That's why it's so funny.
Hey, you look like Dobby. What?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, dude. That
made my whole day.
Dude,
that was great.
It was so... I don't even know. I think it was just raw. It's really what it was. But it stuck with me ever since.
Wait. Did this person like know you, or was it like a random chick in the corner that was just like, oh?
I had seen her on campus a couple times. Like we had played against her in like volleyball before, and like I just around, but I had never met her. So I was just like, this is my first time like being introduced.
Here's the thing: you do like over the top like voice characters. You could kind of be like eccentric and goofy.
I'm kind of skinny. So, I got big eyes.
So I see it.
Oh my god.
It's
awful. It's awful. It's such a...
You could have voiced that. Here's the thing. You could have voiced Dobby if you wanted to.
Yeah, but she had just met me. She didn't know about my silly voices. She was just being an asshole.
I don't know. I love it.
It's great though. It is great. Yeah. It was one of those moments. But yeah, go back to Dobby just in general in the movie. How does he not break his nose like every time he hits his head on anything? Like the way he hits his head, I'm waiting
Good
for his nose
question.
just to shatter.
I mean, maybe it's not made out of cartilage. Maybe it's something made out of something else. I mean, they're
Maybe.
elves. They're not humans.
It's a
You
fair
know what I
point.
mean?
It's just different, I guess. I felt it was sad though. He like abuses himself. That was rough. Uh,
That's what he does.
he does. That was jarring though. I didn't know what to expect from that. Um, but yeah, what I do love about this movie is just how much darker everything was. Like the
Mm.
I love I love an assassination plot. Those are always fun in a movie. Like looking for who's gonna trying to kill someone or whatever. Like that's always cool. Like in the impending
Did the
doom of
stakes
whether it's
feel
gonna
higher?
happen. Stakes feel higher. You're like trying to figure it out more because it's like it could happen. It hasn't happened yet, so you can't even really like. It's not like you're trying to catch a murderer. It's like you're trying to catch someone who might murder something. So that was cool.
What do you think about the character development so far
I
through
think
the
it's been
first
really
two
sweet.
movies?
I think it's nice. I think there's something brewing between Harry and Hermione. Ron is getting, I don't know what he seems like he's getting more scared, which is confusing. Um, it feels like, oh, what's the main wizard's name? Is it Dumbledore?
It is Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. Okay. I feel like he's becoming like closer with them, which is cool. Like he seems really understanding, which I like. Hagrid
Mm,
didn't have as much of a part, although Hagrid seems like he has a sketchier past now. I don't think he's dangerous, but he seems sketchier. Like he seems friendly
sure.
and nice, but I don't, and I still trust him. But he seems like he has like a rough past or something. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. What did you think of? Do you remember anything about the music in this movie?
Yeah, I remember the score being that I wasn't good in the first one, but I remember like the score having more influence over my emotions during the
Interesting.
second one than the first one.
I'm the
I don't know if you
opposite.
agree with that.
No, I'm the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. I and again, it's always like mood when you're watching something like that, but I felt like it had a lot of for whatever reason, the sound of the second one reminded me of like the prequel Star Wars movies music a little bit. Like and I think it might just be like early 2000s film
But see,
orchestration.
I actually like the prequel Star Wars movies, so maybe that's why maybe I feel different.
Well,
I
I
actually
kind of
like
like
those
them
movies.
too. There's parts I do like, but I was just it kept on sounding like that, and I was a little bit thrown off by that. And
Sure.
maybe there's something about how it was orchestrated, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was okay, but it was a little strange. But
What are your thoughts on Harry, Snape, and Voldemort?
so it's interesting. It's like Snape didn't seem as sinister in this movie. He almost seemed like I don't know. Because my theory, I'm pretty damn sure what happens is that Snape becomes Voldemort. Because if I understand correctly, Voldemort is like can inhabit different people's bodies and is more of like a spirit type thing. Again,
Uh
no
huh.
spoilers for me, even though I had 20 years to watch this, 18. But this movie, he was seeming like he was more not defensive of Harry, but like just like handling Harry and not trying to kill him necessarily. That's what it seemed. So that was kind of weird.
Right.
I don't know. I might be wrong, but that's kind of what the vibe I was getting. Like he just didn't seem like honestly, I was more concerned with the with the Slytherin class, like um, the the game that they played. That one blonde kid, him and his crew. I feel like I was more concerned about them than I was concerned of Snape this movie. But
Okay.
I don't know. That's where I'm at right now with him. On a related note, and this has been making me laugh today, and I don't know how to say this without sounding so dark, but
I like dark.
like what's the right way to say it? Um it's not
Just
hard
say
to
it.
kill a child. Like okay, there's a
Explain.
plot to kill Harry Potter.
Yeah.
He's a child. He's what, 10, 11? And in any
11,
movie,
12. And this one, like, at 11, 12, yeah.
okay, so when in any movie mainly made for kids or even just for families, whenever someone's trying to kill a child, it's like the hardest thing you could ever try to do. It's like impossible. They can't figure out how to kill a kid. But in real life, it's so easy to kill a kid. This is like the Incredibles thing.
Please make this a bit.
In the Incredibles, they're literally like, these aren't the bad guys you see on the Saturday morning cartoons. They'll kill you if they have the
Ken,
chance.
this is gonna be the title of the episode.
Oh, please no. It's so dark. I don't condone killing kids, you idiots. If anyone thinks that that's what I'm saying, I'm not making fun of kids getting killed. I'm making fun of movie writers who make it seem like it's just the hardest thing ever to kill a child. And it's not. It's so easy. I'm not speaking from experience, but just do the math.
I'm making this title of the episode.
Oh my God. It's out of my hands. I knew that was going to happen too. That's why I was afraid to mention it. But you know what I mean?
You have a point. No, you're right. Like
Harry Potter was a baby and he faced up against the greatest evil wizard of all time and survived. It's like...
Well, let me ask you this. Does Voldemort actually want to kill Harry?
Maybe not. I do think that he might be... that's my current running theory. I think that Snape might be trying to keep Harry alive so he can convert him to being, I don't know what the word would be, but like an evil wizard and help him, I don't know, take over Hogwarts. I don't know. But
I mean, you still have 5 movies left, man. I mean,
I have a lot to go. But yeah, but that said, suspension of disbelief, and also including that they have magic, that it all makes more sense. But yeah, that always makes me laugh. What was I gonna say though? I was going on that. Oh, go ahead.
We should watch last two together.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, let's do it.
We should watch last 2 together.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm done. I will say on the kids being in danger thing, Dumbledore is a great. What would he be? What head chancellor? I don't know his title.
Headmaster.
There it is. He always is just like, get everyone out of the situation, like isolate the situation, and then just transparency. He's so good at it. Like everyone's freaking out, and then Dumbledore comes in and just like tells it like it is, clears the situation. He's great. I love Dumbledore. I was hoping I would, and he's great.
He is great.
Yeah, I really love. Remember that scene where they're in Hagrid's house, and they have the invisibility cloak or whatever, that blanket or whatever, yep. And then I forget why they're in there, but Dumbledore comes in, and at one point Dumbledore, like, there's this brief moment where his eyes go over to see them in the cloak and like gives them like an unspoken nod or whatever, or like like a veiled message. Like right there, I was like, oh, definitely Dumbledore, like Team Dumbledore. I love him now. He's great. Just something about that was so like, just like it was something you would read in a book, which would be like one of your favorite parts of the book.
Right.
And they I don't know if that's in the book, but they got it perfectly. I loved that.
I'm really curious to see what you think of Dumbledore, particularly in this next movie. I'm curious. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll see how your opinion just changes or stay the same. So we'll see.
That's fair. What did you like how Harry went back in time or whatever for a little bit there, like to start to like figure out the situation, like, because it's really, it's almost like a whodunit, and he literally almost goes back to the crime scene in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think here's what I'll say. I think when you're dealing with audiences that are like a little bit older, that are like high school, or I guess maybe like even like kids, but like also have fans that are like the college or like young adult age, which would be like Marvel.
Yeah.
So they did time travel, but they had to make the time travel like more explainable by science, and they had to make it more complex,
Yeah.
Whereas with this movie series is more geared towards kids, maybe even like some high schoolers too, but it's more geared towards that demographic. So for them, they have more leeway to play around with it, which
that's cool.
as an adult, it's like, yeah, this is cool, this is fun, but like it's not gonna mentally stimulate me. But I think as a kid, it's like this is so cool. This is amazing. This is the coolest thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
so I think you have to when I'm watching that scene, I have to think about it more as like a kid watching it, like
Mm,
myself as a kid enjoying that.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense. You just have to a bit of a suspension of disbelief just to get in the door.
Right. You like you know what you're watching. You know like how it's who it's catering to.
Right.
So you just put yourself through that lens and you enjoy it from that lens. That makes
Right.
sense. So
That's fair. Yeah, I feel like yeah, if you can just accept that movies that aren't geared specifically towards adults aren't going to try to get past a certain level of skepticism, you're going to be able to
yeah,
enjoy it more, you know? I find that with a lot
exactly.
of it.
That's my whole point. Exactly.
I love that. I think that's definitely true. I will say on a very random note, but Hogwarts got some like I don't know, they got some fund money or something. Like they renovated a little bit since the first movie.
Oh, can just you wait?
And
They're
it's
gonna show you more.
unexplained. It's way nicer of a campus. Oh, I had one other thought about this that I was watching.
Go.
I thought when I was watching. Um, I love how much how hands off the professors and the parents of these children are. They're just
Yeah,
like throwing them in. They're making sure that they're taken care of in jazz, but it's just like they're throwing them into adventures. I love that. Like they when they're doing
mad hijinks.
like the magical horticulture thing where they pull up the screaming root vegetable or whatever it was. Like that's apparently lethal, and they're just letting the kids do it, and like the professors don't care. Love it. And they had a little bit in the first movie, obviously, but I just
Love it.
noticed it.
I saw my kid at Hogsworth. You can't deal with those lethal fruits, then he can't come back home. I love
Yeah,
it.
man. Yeah, you can't come back home if you can't handle that. But yeah, I actually might be watching the third Harry Potter movie this week with my siblings, so we will see.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we might be able to do another one in a week or two.
Next week.
Hell
Let's
yeah,
do it.
sweet.
I think I'll actually because I haven't seen the Harry Potter series in like for a couple of years now, so I think I might try to watch the first three over the weekend if I can.
Do it,
Just
yeah.
to have a fresher memory of it, you know.
That's a great idea. Yeah, just then yeah, it's all just brushed up and everything. That's
Yeah.
great. This is fun.
This was good, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating with us. Please keep giving us feedback. We got a lot of feedback on the Taylor Swift episode. Lots of good feedback on that. We appreciate your input. Again, everything, share everything, tell your friends about it, word of mouth. It helps us out a lot. Also, give us a follow if you want to keep up to date with us. You can follow us on Instagram at podcast the Cook and the Coach. You can follow us on Twitter at the Cook and the C1. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Castbox, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Music,
Yep.
all that shit. You can follow me, Baeza, Baeza, TENSEIE on Instagram. Still working on some secret projects, but
Yay.
when they're ready to go, you all know. So,
Awesome.
Ken, what you got going on? Where can they find you?
I have right now I have a couple pages on Instagram. So I have at KP Martin 2. That's my personal page, and my food page is at Haymarket Catering. Again, just a friendly reminder, if you want to do that moment challenge, it could be a lot of fun, or you can just follow what I'm doing with that. It's been really fun so far. And you can check out my music that I make if you look up Kenny Martin Bucket List anywhere that music is streaming. So listen if you want to. It's
Love it.
really great. Check it out.
Where can they find you at the truck? What's going on with that?
Oh yeah,
Where
thank
can they
you.
find you at?
Yeah, so I on the weekends I work at Union Hmong Kitchen. On Instagram, it's at Union Hmong Kitchen. If you're in the cities, we have a residency at Sociable Cider Works in Northeast Minneapolis. So if you just go on our website or our Instagram page, you can find everything you need to find out. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So come say hi if you want. I work Saturdays and Sundays.
Love
So
it.
yeah, sweet.
Guys, thank you for listening. We will see you next time.
Goodbye.
All right.